Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Alec.
And I'm Hannah from Script Studios, and welcome back to another Newlywed Talks. Hey, okay, so a little bit ago, we got a comment on one of our videos.
Which video was it?
This was on our children video.
Ah.
And this person says, I think you guys should make a video about the harder topics such as abortion. I really think you guys are the perfect people to give advice for it.
First off, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We actually really appreciate that.
Second, I think we did want to talk about it because the bigger, harder topics are something that we do think about actually a lot. And we had her go ahead and research a little bit of stuff for abortion specifically, and that's what this episode is going to be about. And we're just going to kind of give our thoughts, our opinions, and what we think is good, what we think is not good. But obviously, the world is a very different place than where we might be at the moment. So if there is a lot of backlash to this, I don't know if we are expecting it. So
okay.
If you, like I said, if you guys have any kind of thing, if it's, as long as you guys aren't like completely swearing, profane, any of that stuff, you can have any kind of comments that you either agree with or disagree with down in the comments below. We will read everything. We will read all of it. We will see all the sides and all the things of it. But this is our initial standpoint and our initial like comments as of right now. Okay. So as we keep that in mind, let's go ahead and turn it back over to Hannah.
So what I'm going to start with is I have the world meter right here for the abortions that have happened this year, 2022.
Which means
starting
it's been
January
a total
1st.
of, what, 12, 13 days? My watch isn't even turned on. I'm looking at some of the black screen. It's fine, guys.
13 days. And this world meter started at January 1st at 00 hours. So 12 a.m. right there. And we are at, and counting, 1,466,046, 47, 48, etc.
Holy crap. That's a lot for 13 freaking days. Come on, guys.
So
that's come on.
Just take that in for a second. We're already over 1 million abortions. And this is in the entire world.
Can you look up how many people are in the world right now?
How many people are in the world?
Yes.
Yeah, I will look that up right now.
How many people are actually alive in this world, first off? And second off, what is the percentage of babies killed or abortions happened versus the life that is on the land?
So
I heard, here's just one thing. I heard that the average children amount per the generations right now, where we're at, it's like it averages maybe around one child per family. I might think that's a bit of like financial stuff going on because I know that the finances are a huge thing. Inflation is blowing up. House prices are going out of the wazoo. It is kind of getting sad.
It's crazy.
Especially here in America, for those of you who aren't from here right now. But
yeah,
you know, it's getting worse. So I mean, for finances sake, it is a little bit harder. But at the same time, if you don't at least get like even, our generations are gonna like kill off the population. We're gonna die with no children, and then no children means no prosperity. No prosperity means no future. So it's a little scary.
Okay, so we are at 7,920,058,928,930. Now we're in the 30s. It's so weird. The world population clock counter like goes up and down. It like shifts from like, but it's constantly going up. A lot of death, but then it goes down, but then it goes up. And all of these numbers, it says births today, deaths today, population growth today, like they're all moving, constantly moving.
Well, it makes sense. There's so many people that a lot of stuff happens all at once.
So it also says deaths this year, starting 2022, is at 2,020,420 so on, counting up from 28.
Man, guys, things are rough.
Like, look at, that's crazy. Births today are 207,038 for 40, counting up.
Okay, hey, there's a positive note. Let's go. Yay.
And births this year, starting the beginning of 2022, are at 4,812,684.5, counting up.
Okay, but hearing about that for the thing, births are only maybe, abortions are a fourth of that right now, is what it sounds like. Which is, for me, it's a little sad, because abortion, I feel like, shouldn't be near as much as the actual birth rate, but this world is becoming something else as of right now, and it's kind of becoming one of those where, like we said, the posterity might not continue forward a whole lot, or it'll be specific bloodlines that go forward and live and all of that.
So it says here that, and hopefully we can provide links to what I'm looking at, to the research that I'm looking at in this video. But it says, according to WHO, every year in the world there are an estimated 40 to 50 million abortions. This corresponds to approximately 125,000 abortions per day.
Wow.
And that's in the world every year.
Given the world is a big place, so that might seem like a huge number, and it might be little, and it might be big. I can't really put in perspective myself, but I guess you never really know. Is the biggest thing.
It also says in the USA, where nearly half of the pregnancies are unintended and 4 in 10 of these are terminated by abortion. There are over 3,000 abortions per day, and these are the only ones that are legally counted. Keep that in mind.
Not ones that are...
Not ones that people don't check in, 22% of all pregnancies in the USA, excluding miscarriages, end in abortion. And those are the ones that are counted. Those are the ones that we can keep track of. 22% of all pregnancies.
Wow.
That
seems like that's a pretty big number for abortions.
That's
personally.
A lot.
I think we need to take a step back and let's go ahead and lay out our thoughts of abortion first.
Yeah, so we're going to step away from the numbers.
Abortion right now, I'm going to start it by saying we believe that the kid is alive. Of course, there are statistical numbers saying, hey, when does the kid actually start moving and when does it start going? I think it's like 5 to 8 weeks, I think, is before it officially starts to gain consciousness or whatever. And that I can see. But then after that point, it does get to the point where it's a real human being. It's just in its growing phases, It is a real living, creature, whatever you want to call it, So for me specifically, I don't agree with abortion. There are very specific, acceptances or
times where it might, emphasis on might, be okay.
Yes. And those are, 1, cases of incest. Because stuff like that can be dangerous for the baby, can be dangerous for the parents and stuff. But then again, that could also be I don't know. It could be very distant incest. Yes. It could be super, super close incest. You never know. But I still feel like that can be an exception.
Because also incest, we know that genetically, having super close genetics can alter a baby in ways that it makes it hard to live and survive. And so, so cases of incest.
Yes, and then second is cases of rape. Because obviously, they might not have been any kind of ready for a child. The woman had no choice in that matter. None at all. If it was a case of rape and they ended up having a child, that is one where I feel like there can be a little bit more of a choice in it. But that is still between discretion.
That is between the mother and her baby. And I mean, obviously, if she's religious, God. And
I just feel like that's one where it was forced, and it was something that if there wasn't a choice, then they can still have a choice if it really comes to that point. Like if it's a smaller kid, let's say a 12-year-old kid was sold into sex slavery.
Now that,
or something like that, and this little girl, she didn't really have a choice over that action, but now she's getting raped, tortured, beaten, all this other kind of stuff, and then she gets pregnant on top of that, and somehow she gets out. Like maybe somehow she does get out, but she's got this child in her stomach now. Like she didn't really have an option for a lot of that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are cases like this around where a lot, actually.
It's a really hard, it's a very gray area where there's no like yes or no answer. It's a very personal and it's a very hard choice to make. Where it's we can't say yes or no.
Exactly.
In those situations. And I mean, obviously we can't say yes or no for anybody, but in those situations it's very hard to put any kind of label on it. And then I think the last one is if the mother's life is in danger.
Yes.
That one, honestly, well, okay, so with this one,
I feel like that's really up to the mother.
Is
she willing to, if it's like a guarantee, is the baby going to live if the mother dies? Like automatically, is the baby going to live if the mother dies? Then it's completely up to the mom at that point. It's like, okay, will I give my life for my babies? Or if it's a chance where it's like, okay, we don't know if this baby's going to live, and we don't know if the mom's going to live if she continues with this, then it's really up to, okay, am I willing to stop this pregnancy and abort my baby so that I can continue living as of right now, so that at least one of us keeps on going?
Yeah.
It's another one of those grayish areas, because it's all by discretion. It's all by your choice, your circumstance.
Every situation is different. There's no way to label it. And I mean, like, especially if you're married and you and your, like, as a mother, if you and your husband make that choice to say, yes, I want, like, let's have a baby. Let's say you already have kids and this pregnancy is really straining your life. Like, you need to sit down with your spouse and you guys need to talk about it and really ponder, because once again, it's a gray area. And so ultimately, I think our opinion is that abortion is wrong and it should not be freely used.
Well, yeah, I mean, like
it should not be,
okay, so we talked about the stuff
around.
where it is acceptable, now the stuff where it's not acceptable. That sounds like what we're going into now. So we're going to branch that direction. First, it's the saying, if you play, you have to pay. If you play around, if you get yourself pregnant, I feel like there shouldn't be a real option for you, because you consciously made that choice. You consciously decided to play around without protection, or
even with protection. There is every single item of birth control has a disclaimer that says this is not 100% foolproof. I know plenty of people who have gotten pregnant on IUDs and on Nexplanon and with condoms, with regular birth control that you just take the pill, like all of it. Like, doesn't matter what you have. The patch, if you like, doesn't.
If it wants to give you a baby, it'll give you a baby.
Yeah,
that's pretty much
honestly. And even with like a vasectomy, it's still possible. It is a very, very, very low chance, but it is still possible. A woman could have her tubes tied potentially and still get pregnant somehow. Like, they're very, very, very low chances, obviously. But if you are going into a situation where you are consciously having sex, you are making the choice to have sex, and either you get the girl pregnant or you get yourself pregnant, then I honestly, my opinion, I'm kind of hardcore when it comes to this. My opinion is that you need to accept responsibility and you need to have that baby because you made the choice to go have sex. And obviously, I think like sex, especially in marriage, is a very beautiful tool to have to show love and care to your spouse, to your partner, but it is obviously also how you make babies. Like, that is where children comes from. So if you are going around and throwing around that power...
if you haven't had the talk by now and you can't tell where babies come from, we're saying it straight out. Yep. Sex makes babies. Okay?
Hopefully you know this. If you don't, then here you go.
Then that is your disclaimer, okay? Be careful with sex because babies do come out of it. Mm-hmm. And just because you have sex for fun or if you have sex to show love, but you're absolutely not okay with a baby, maybe rethink the act of having sex.
You need to be wise. You need to use discretion and you need to be wise. I mean, we think that sex belongs in marriage. We think that that is the best place to have it because if you have a baby, you're in a safe space where you can both be like, okay, I guess we want to take care of this child, you know? Like you are in a place where you can support each other in that, you know? And it's a safe space for that. Hopefully it's a safe space for that baby to grow up because we think that is the ultimate place to have a child, right? And to have sex.
Because it's within the confines of a commitment. Mm-hmm. Like a solid commitment. Legally a commitment, spiritually a commitment,
emotionally a commitment. Like you have made a conscious choice to live with someone, to create a family with someone, then okay. Like, yeah, go have babies. Go do it. But if you are having recreational sex, I hope that you've thought about this. I hope that you have really seriously considered the consequences. And I mean, I don't mean consequences as in bad consequences, but there's a cause and effect, right? Like, what is going to happen if you go have recreational sex? First of all, like, there's plenty of things that could happen, but one of them is having a baby. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm not being too harsh because sometimes I get super passionate about this subject, but one of those consequences is having a baby, and that is a person, and it's a beautiful opportunity for you to be able to be a parent. And personally, I don't think you would regret being a parent. I think you would learn so much, you would grow in so many ways, and you would be able to, you'd be able to figure out what, like, true deep love is with that child. I personally think it'd be a very beautiful experience, but start talking.
I was going to let it ramble for as long as you wanted to, but going back to, like, the official, like, abortion topic, babies are great. Obviously, sometimes it's going to be really hard to handle a baby. There are people that are like, oh, okay, I can't handle this because I'm not in a place where I can financially help this kid grow up. Mm-hmm. If you are able to go through and have that kid anyways, there are a lot of people that like adoption. There are people that live for foster, you know? Mm-hmm. They say that it's still a thing where if you really cannot handle or afford or keep your baby up to standard, you can go up to a fire station.
You can go to a fire station.
You can go to a fire station and you can drop that baby off at the front door, and it will be safe. They will take care of it.
They will make sure that baby has a safe place to go and a good place to go. It was kind of cool learning about that. Mm-hmm. It was even like just last year that we actually learned about that. If you are in a place where, we encourage you figuring out how to keep your children and how to take care of them. We do encourage that. But if things
really end up getting to the point where it's hard, that is an option. Mm-hmm. Okay? Or you can trust him or her or the child with someone you really trust. Mm-hmm. Say your parents. Say your best friend.
Or
say
maybe one of your siblings.
There are
aunt,
options.
An uncle, grandparents. Like there are people out there who are so ready and willing maybe not ready, but maybe willing and open to helping you, to helping that baby. And I mean, honestly, ultimately, if there's any chance of you taking care of that baby, whether you're the father, whether you're the mother, if there's a chance that you can, please take it. Please find a way that you can parent your child.
It's nice for a kid to grow up in a family. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say that. Obviously, that's not going to be the circumstance all the time because things split off in different ways, and that's actually going to segue me to my other thought process on this. Abortion, I feel like, obviously, it shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen if you decide to have sex. I feel like you should keep the child, especially if you are capable, willing, and you have healthy bodies. The mother shouldn't be able to be like, okay, I just don't want this because I don't want it, and then they get rid of it, because if she has to carry it for 9 months and she's like scared or whatever of that, then you should really have that ramification already in your mind, and then for the guy, it gets a little bit harder, obviously, right? Because there are a lot of guys that are like, oh, she's pregnant, I'm going to up and I'm going to leave, and that is not okay. That is not okay. Because if you are the person that has planted a child into somebody else, then if you just take off and leave after that, that is pretty messed up, I'm going to say. That is not okay. You need to take responsibility for your own actions. It is easier for you to leave because you are not super tied onto it, per se.
You don't have to carry it inside you. Because you don't have to
carry it inside of you. But that woman does. And there are like different circumstances, weighed options, all that stuff, where the woman is like, I really don't want it, and the guy's like, I really do, Sometimes that can get a little rocky and everything, and sometimes that might be brought to court. That might be something that is made without a decision, and then the guy gets really upset or whatever and all this other stuff, or it could go vice versa where the woman really, really wants it and the guy doesn't, but that goes all over the place again. So I feel like you guys, if you're going to have sex, you really need to understand on both sides that this is your responsibility. If you have a child, you have to handle it. And if you do not want a child, then you need to be able to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
You need to figure out what the heck you're going to be doing with yourself and how to avoid it, even in the most like special measure. It's kind of that way. I just feel like abortion we're kind of running in circles, but
a little bit.
We're really passionate about the fact that it is not okay. We don't believe in abortion. We think it should always it should pretty much be abolished except for very special circumstances. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's flat out pretty much what we believe.
And oh man, what was I going to say? But yeah, basically abortion is a very great power that our human civilization now has that should not be abused.
It shouldn't be abused.
And just like we said, you need to think about what the consequences are if you're going to go and have sex outside of marriage. You're in a place where you don't have a commitment from that person that they are going to stay with you and take care of that child. You don't have that official commitment. You don't have it outside of marriage. And I know there are situations where someone in a marriage does end up leaving, which is awful and terrible. But hopefully, within marriage, you have that secure promise from each other that you are going to work together and that you are going to get through whatever you have to get through,
Now, I'm not sure what she's talking about per se, but I ended up looking up some abortion laws. And I heard that Texas has decided to roll back their law limit, which is something that I can't agree with as well. And this is why I want to bring it up, because I can agree with some of the laws put in place from Texas politicians, and I can get behind this. I guess that's what I'm saying. Anyways, it says, as of September 1st, 2021, the state of Texas has enacted a new abortion restriction known as Senate Bill 8. This law limits our ability to provide abortion care in Texas beyond about 6 weeks of pregnancy, and sometimes even earlier. We are fighting this law in court, and we are still here for you, blah, blah, blah. That is this is Planned Parenthood. I don't feel like that should be fought. I feel like that should be exactly how it is. About 6 weeks of pregnancy or before. I feel like anything after that is like kind of messed up. Now California, I'm pretty sure you could just abort whenever the heck you feel like.
But like we really do believe that there is a certain point where that baby is conscious. That baby is a person. Whether they look like an alien and have eyes or not, they are now a person. And that person has the right to live. And if you take away that right, you're going to have to be prepared for living with that for the rest of your life.
Yep. Now, I'm not going to go all the way out of the park and say this is extreme murder. You should be charged as a murderer kind of person. No. I just feel like it's something that if you have made that decision, you need to take responsibility. I will not call you a murderer. I will not call you anything bad if you do end up having one, because everybody is still like, as much as I say I hate everybody, this is what I'm going to say. I still give people the benefit of the doubt, right? I still believe that people can be good. I still believe that people have some kind of heart in them, you know? So I will not look down on you for having one if it absolutely comes to it, but I still feel like it should be within reason. It should be within correct stuff. But anyway, I feel like we're kind of rolling back on other stuff again here, so we're probably going to end it as of right now, unless you have final.
One more thing that I want to bring up.
Go for it.
So I had a family friend. She's essentially my cousin, even though she's the niece of like my aunt, so she's not related to me, but she's been brought in close enough to the family that she's a cousin essentially now. So she and her husband, with their first baby, the baby was developing with a lung problem. And so eventually the doctors told them that that baby wasn't going to survive. And I'm sure there are a lot of cases out there like this where the baby is developing in a way that will not allow them to live past a certain point after birth or something like that. And so they were presented with the option of either they could abort the baby and not have to go through the birth because the baby wouldn't live past maybe a day anyway, or they had the option to go through with the birth. And that's what they chose. They went through the entire pregnancy. They named their baby, and they went through it all. She gave birth to the baby, and he took one breath, and then he passed away. So now, it's a sad story, but it's really, I think it blessed their family somehow. I see how happy they are. They have other kids now, and they celebrate that baby's birthday every year. But they were presented with the option to abort the baby because the baby wasn't going to survive anyway. In that situation, I feel like that goes along with our gray area list, where it's like, this baby's going to die anyway. They're not going to survive. Or at least we don't think they're going to survive. But I think that ultimately, in any of these situations, maybe except for, well, okay, no, they're all gray. You can't label any of our gray areas. But I personally believe that if you make the choice to have a baby, you are going to be blessed in ways that you could never even imagine. That's how I feel. That's how I feel about children in general. I think that you and your spouse will be blessed about when you have children. They're a beautiful joy in your life. They're just gems. These glowing gems in the world, and you have the chance to make them fulfill their potential and go beyond that. And so if you have that opportunity and you are in a place where you could raise that baby, please consider it. Please really think about it. Because obviously we can't make that choice for you, and we won't. And we're not going to judge you, no matter what choice you make. Obviously, we don't know half of you out there, but we really encourage you to think about it.
And I think that's where we're going to leave you today. Think about it.
Yeah, think about it.
And just all of this stuff, obviously, have we researched super, super deep into every single law, every single thing? No, we haven't. But this is our standpoint as of right now from what we believe and what we feel. And now we will let open the gates for either all hell to break loose or everybody to give your opinions. Please, by all means. We want to hear opinions. We want to see opinions. We want to see statistics. I don't care what it is. If you guys have anything to share with us, just don't be over profane or we will take your comment off. I am going to say that. If you're going to be overly rude in any which way, we will also take your thing off. Disclaimer. That is how that's going to go.
But we can have a discussion. We would love to have a discussion with you. Talk about it if you really want to. There you go. The floodgates are open.
Anyways,
take a chance.
That's our thoughts and that's our feelings. You're welcome for saying it, and we're probably gonna leave that there officially.
If you have any other questions, comments, whatever you want to say, leave them down below. Please like, please subscribe. Look at our Twitch. Look at our merch.
Website.
Look at our website. All that stuff. Videos.
I'm working on getting a better.
Yeah.
Working on getting a better website, so be ready for that at a time's notice too. So.
But yeah.
Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and you guys have a fantastic day.
Bye-bye. Bye.